After my father passed away, I was the one who looked after my stepbrother. And it was all because my stepmom, which was his biological mother, she ran away with all the money from my father's inheritance. So I was left with a decision. Either I look after my stepbrother, or I send him into an orphanage. Well, the choice was clear. I'm going to watch him. But what I was not expecting was the fact that my stepmother is going to show up again. Many years later, and she came with a pretty shocking secret. Let me tell you, some people really have the audacity to do bad things and not suffer any consequences. They live in a bubble where everyone worships them and applauds them for the bare minimum. Unfortunately, I've never been a person who sucks up to anyone. Whether I respect them or not, I've also never been one to hide my true feelings just to keep the peace. So, I'm certainly not going to be hiding my true feelings regardless of what just happened. I'm actually angry now that I'm thinking of it. Where does she get the nerve to come prancing back like nothing even happened? There's no way that we're going to welcome her back. She can go back to whatever hole she crawled from. I can't believe that I actually used to love her and consider her a mom. She really played the game well, and then when my father passed, she took all his money and ran for the hills. My stepmother, Sally, has to be the best con artist I've ever seen. 4 years ago, she came into my father's life. She was about a decade older than me and a decade younger than my dad. At first, I was not happy about their relationship because I thought she wanted his money. But then again, my dad was still young. Surely she would have a long time to wait if she wanted his money. In addition, my father did not spoil her at all. She seemed to have her own money and career. She came with a son who was 4 years of age, Carl. I got along well with Carl, and he made me tolerate her a bit more. They got married within a year of meeting each other. I started to warm up to my new mom. She did not try to come in between me and my dad and just actually gave us a lot of space. I began to form a relationship with her and confide in her about anything and everything that was troubling me. It was much easier to talk to her than Dad, because Dad did not understand most of what I was going through. In time, we were best friends and one big happy family. But then tragedy struck. Turns out my father had been hiding the fact that he had organ failure. When he got hospitalized, he confessed to the both of us. We spent a lot of time at the hospital hoping that he would get better, but I had no such luck. As the weeks progressed, he got worse and he passed. Fast forward to after the funeral. I was at their house taking care of Carl because my stepmom was still taking care of things. One morning I woke up and she was gone. At first I thought that she had gone to the shops, but that was simply not the case. I looked high and low for her and she did not answer her phone. After some time, I went to her room where I found out that she had packed most of her clothing and all of her jewelry. I went to my dad's study. There I found the safe open. Only $2,000 was left from the money that was in there. I looked for a note but found none. She had just vanished. It took me a while to comprehend what was actually going on. Had my stepmother just cleaned me out and left me to take care of her son? Why the hell would she do something so selfish? I decided not to overreact and immediately start looking for her. After weeks of no success, I had to come to terms with the fact that I was now a 21-year-old foster mom. I reported what had happened to the authorities and they put him into custody. Eventually, I was able to find his dad and arrange something, but I'll get to that in a little bit. I have been Carl's primary caregiver for the past 2 years, and we've not heard a word from his mom. She claimed all the insurance money and took everything. The only thing that we were left with was the house and the money in the trust fund. But of course, I can't even access it till I'm 25, and trust me, I've tried. I had to sell some things to make ends meet, and I also had to transfer to a nearby college, so I could take care of Carl and the house. I also wanted to make sure that she did not come back and try to take the house from us since she was so greedy. These past 2 years have been something else, but we're managing. We're healing from that big betrayal and also coming to terms with the fact that our family is now, well, half of what it was. Now tell me why, when we're about to forget her, she comes back home. I came home from work this afternoon to find her in the living room. I was actually spooked and shouted out for help because I did not recognize her at first. She has had a lot of work done. She does not look 32 anymore. She looks like she's now in her 40s. There's nothing that she did not have redone on her body, and she now looks like a warped Barbie doll. It's sad. She had the scary smile plastered on her face, and she asked me how I was doing. I asked her what the hell she was doing back in town. I thought she was gone forever. She laughed as if I made a joke and said that she could not stay away from her fam. She had a few things to think about, but now she was ready to resume where we started. I told her that she could not just hit pause and play on our family. She abandoned us like we were nothing. We had moved on without her, and we did not need her. It was best for her to return to where she was. I told her that she had played a very convincing role the first time, but now I knew that she was nothing but a con artist. Worst of all, she's a bad mother who abandoned her baby. At the mention of her son, and she actually had some emotion on her face and looked a bit sad. She said that she was not feeling great and had made the right decision for her son. She claimed that she loved my father a lot and was deeply affected by his death. She was never going to be able to take care of Carl properly, but that was in the past. She was here now and ready to be a mom. She then asked where her son was, and she was excited to see him and had brought him a lot of presents. At the mention of Carl's name, sadness filled me. She asked what was wrong because I looked sad, and I told her that while she was off enjoying her life, her son had been diagnosed with leukemia. It happened 6 months after she left. He was in treatment for 9 months and in remission for 3. After that, he relapsed and is back in treatment again. Poor baby is suffering, but I cannot let him go. I need him to get better because he's all that I have, left beside my boyfriend. I can't lose another family member after my mom and dad. I need him to make it, grow, and achieve all of his dreams. I told her that he was very sick and in the hospital, so he was not coming home anytime soon. It took her a moment to register what I said, and then she burst into tears. I stood there looking at her and not comforting her. She had no right to cry and be sad because she's the one that left him. I told her to stop crying because she did not even care about him. I told her that after she was done with her theatrics, she could leave my house and also leave my key before I report her for breaking in. She told me that I was overreacting, and she could explain her absence. I gave her 10 minutes to leave, and I was not interested in speaking to her. She left, but she's been bothering me because she wants to see her son. In case she finds out where Carl is, I've told the hospital not to allow her to visit. She lost all those rights when we walked out of her life. I'm not going to allow her to make our lives hell. No! Update number 1. A week later. This week was something else. I just wanted to bundle up and forget that anything happened at all. So much has been going on and I'm under too much pressure. Everywhere in my life, people are pressurizing me and I'm tired of it. I need to ask you guys what I should do regarding 2 issues. The first is if I should allow my stepmom to see her son. The second is if I should get married to my boyfriend even though my life is a crap storm right now. Let me give you more information about both dilemmas. They might seem unrelated, but they're not. Firstly, my stepmom came to the house many times, but I did not open the door. Seeing that I was ignoring her texts and visits, she showed up at my workplace. I told her, my boss, what was happening, and she got kicked out. Seeing that this was not working, she sent me a letter, which I did read before throwing into the fire. I thought that she wanted to apologize for actions of late, but she actually wanted to blame me for not trying harder to contact her when her son got sick. She also did not appreciate how I was keeping her away from her son and was thinking of getting the law involved. The cherry on top was how she threatened to expose all my secrets to everyone. I knew if I did not cooperate. She did not understand why I was being so difficult because all she wanted was a relationship with us. That letter made me angrier and did not convince me to give her a chance at all. It only made me harden my resolve. There's no way I'm going to let her blackmail me into forgiving her. She did not even apologize. She demanded that I forget what she did and how it affected me. I thought the Sally I knew was in there somewhere, but she's not. That person is a monster, and I will not allow her to ruin this for us. As for my secrets, I would not want them to come out. I especially don't want my boyfriend to find out because I love him a lot. I met him in an unlikely way. He's 28, and while I'm 23, so There's a 5-year gap between us, and he had a bit of a messed up past, but he's changed his ways. I'm sure that if I tell him about my past, he will still love me. But what if he dumps me? Worst of all, he's talking about marriage, and he really wants to marry me so we can raise Carl together. It will also make things way easier for the both of us. I love him, and I see him in our future, but I'm not sure if I want to get married when there are things that I'm keeping from him. Worst of all, he does not know that my stepmother is back in town. He can't know. If they meet, then maybe it'll be over for our relationship. I can't say yes to marrying him when something as big as that is hanging over us. Should I tell him the hard truth and just risk losing him, or not say anything at all? Get my stepmother out of our lives and live happily ever after. There's only 2 options to take, and neither of those options looks good right now. I feel myself spiraling. I need help. Please, tell me what I should do to fix these problems. Update number 2, 2 weeks later. I guess it's true when they say that nothing is hidden underneath the sun. Well, things have unraveled in quite an interesting way this week. I'm currently in the hospital, not because of Carl, but someone else. I promise I'm getting to that, but first I must tell you about the drama that happened this afternoon. It all started when my stepmother wanted to see Carl. She forced herself into the ward and was harassing the receptionist because she wanted to get in. I arrived as this was happening and told the receptionist to let her in. I knew that she was going to just carry on doing things like this, trying to get attention. I needed to shut her up for once, and I knew just the way to go about doing it. I took her to Carl's room, where we found him playing video games. As soon as she saw him, she, rushed over to hug him. When she pulled away, she starts talking about how she missed Carl and could not believe that she was seeing him. Well, she said that, she's here now and no one was ever going to separate them again. I wanted to laugh because of how ridiculous she was being, but I just shut my mouth. The first words out of the mouth of his was, after she was done blabbering, were what the hell she was doing in his room because he did not want anything to do with her. He told her that he did not love her, he loved me and his dad. She swiveled and looked at me so fast, asking what the hell he meant by his father. I told her that after he got sick, I was stressed and needed support. So I tracked him down, his biological father, who had a very interesting story to tell me. Well, apparently Sally ran away with Carl 4 years ago. That was around the same time that she met my father. Sally said that of course she had to run because he was a bad man, and she could tell me all about him. She could not believe that I let that man back into Carl's life just like that. I asked if she was not ashamed for saying that he was a bad man. He had made mistakes, but when I told him about Carl, he came running. Not only that, but she failed to mention how young he had been when they had Carl. She laughed and said that she was barely 4 years older than him, and I was making her seem bad. Well, I was sick of having that back and forth with her, so I told her that he was way better father than she had been a mother. She told me that I did not know that man like she did. He was only going to mess up and leave, and I told her that he had even moved to our city and had consistently visited Carl. That man was not going anywhere. At that time, I looked at Carl and smiled just to reassure him that everything was okay. It wasn't fair for him to be in between us like that. I mean, come on. And I had to do my duty to keep him calm. Well, she told me that she was going to get the court involved and expose all of his secrets. I laughed and said that since she really loved to expose people's secrets, I had a new one for her. I then showed her my hand and then gave her a piece of paper, a draft of my wedding invitation. She slowly read the invitation and looked from it, to the ring, and then asked me, what me getting married had to do with everything. I told her that it would be hard for her to get Carl from me and Thomas because, we're going to be getting married soon. Then we could legally adopt Carl as a couple. She actually lost the color in her face when she heard it. Then she was surprised, me, by walking out of the room clutching her heart. Meanwhile, Carl was watching us with a big smile upon his face. And he was just excited, and he asked me when I had said yes. I'm sure you guys guessed it by now, but my boyfriend is Carl's dad. I did not plan on falling in love with him when we met, but it just happened. I said yes to marrying him shortly after that last post. That night, I also told him all of my secrets that I knew my stepmom wanted to expose. He still loved me despite all that and wanted to marry me. We've been planning the wedding over the past few weeks. We want to have something soon and with very few people. Well, that'll happen once we figure out what to do with my stepmom, who has somehow had a heart attack at the age of 32. Turns out that, was why she was walking away. She was actually having a heart attack. I'm waiting to hear how she is because they're doing surgery now. Talk about an over-exaggeration. I'll update you guys. Update number 3. Hey, so, how funny it can be when the person who used to threaten and torment you now needs your help. I'm enjoying this position of power I have over her, and I just do not really think that I'll be letting it go anytime soon. We need to milk it till we get what we want, and then we can discard her like she did to Carl. You must be wondering what I'm even talking about. Well, the events of the past month have put me in a very favorable position, and I'm going to take advantage of it. When my stepmother had the heart attack, I called Thomas to let him know. I lied in the last updates. I did not tell him about Sally being back because I did not want to worry him. In addition, I thought that I was going to be able to get rid of her before the need arose. Well, I was already having someone look into her. Well, that somebody finished looking into her and found out that she was now broke. She had somehow managed to squander my dad's money and was probably here to leech off me, using my love for Carl. This time I'm smarter, and I've made sure that all my assets are protected. In addition, we'll make sure that she does not get access to Carl's trust fund, which means that his wedding has to happen ASAP. However, since she's still bedbound, we still have some time. It appears that my stepmother has not been taking proper care of herself, which is why she had a heart attack at such a young age. Unfortunately, it was fatal, and she'll need care for the rest of her life. She's still in recovery right now, and I've gone to see her a few times. I stopped going to her because of the rubbish that she would spout. She wanted me to allow her to come back in, and be a good mother to Carl, and she does not want to be away from her family. Guys, she's literally drowning in medical debt, so of course she would want to stay with me. Well, there's no way that I'm helping her, especially since she's not being nice to my fiancé at all. She's the one who left him because my father was wealthy. He was trying his hardest to take care of the 3 of them, but it was never good enough for Sally. Nothing is ever good enough for Sally, it appears. We've been talking about how to get her out of our life, and I think we have a solid plan. Since we have the upper hand because we have resources and Carl loves us, we're going to use it to get what we want. She's not going to know what hit her. She's getting discharged from the hospital in a couple days, which is when we'll put our plan in motion. She has no idea that we have something in store for her, and I cannot wait to be rid of her. All of us would be better off without her. Final update 3 months later. Thank you. I figured I owe you a quick life update, so here it is. I got married to Thomas about 2 months ago, and we're now legally Carl's parents. In addition to that, Carl has made a speedy recovery. His cancer is in remission. The doctors are hopeful that he'll live the rest of his life without any more issues. He's finally getting back to his normal weight again, and normal activity. He is such a happy, healthy boy, which makes it so worth it. His mom has been bothering us for visits, but that was not part of the deal. She only gets to see once a week, and when she gets out of the hospital, we told her that we planned for more, formally adoption of Carl, but she was not going to contest the process. She asked why she would not contest it, though, and I told her that I knew that she was broke, had nowhere to go, and had no way to pay the bills. Watching her face unravel as all of her secrets unraveled was truly the best part of the confrontation. It got even better when I told her that I was willing to help her clear her medical debt and get a place to stay, but only on one condition. I let her swear up and down that she would do anything and also grovel for a while. That was so satisfying to watch. And I could have done it for hours, but Thomas had to ruin the fun. He told her that she had to leave us and Carl alone. She was not supposed to contact Carl in any way, and she just said that she could not leave her baby again. She was so scared because she nearly lost him. What would happen if something happened to him? She at least needed to know that he was all right. So I told her that she would get 1 photo a month, which was way more than she deserved. She told me that she accepts the deal because she had no other option, And just like that, Thomas and I cleared her medical debts and got her up to stay in a nice facility. There was no way we were going to spend our hard-earned money getting her the best care in town now, were we? We put her there and forgot about her almost. We still have to send that one picture a month, but it's totally worth it. You must be wondering how bad it was for her to end up needing to be taken care of. Because of the seriousness of the heart attack, she now has to deal with angina, reduced physical function, and mental decline. She also has a lot of weight that she's lost, and it's not as beautiful as before. It now looks a little weird because of all the surgery that she's had. Her life is going to be full of pain till the end, and she's always at risk of another heart attack. I feel like this is her way of paying penance for all the people that she hurt. But enough about her, let us stick to the good news. Once we had gotten rid of her, we decided to get married ASAP. We had a very small wedding with only Carl and a few close friends. After getting married, we started the process for me to adopt Carl, and surprisingly, it went very well, and we were approved very quickly. Thomas moved into my house shortly after, and this is where the three of us are now. We're co-parenting and having the time of our lives. Every morning I wake up with a smile on my face, because I'm married to such a wonderful man. He treats me like a queen and is such a good father to Carl. I wonder if, we would have met and if things would have worked out the same if Sally did not abandon us. Probably not. Because of that, the wound of abandonment has healed so much more since Sally left. Never will I let that deter me again. That's it. See ya.